Welcome to WagerTalk's last call. Round of 32 starts in a little less than an hour and a half or so. We've got the NIT going as well. So if you have a question regarding either tournament for one of our handicappers, please drop it in the chat. This show is all about your participation. We are live on X, TikTok, Instagram, and of course, YouTube. So if you have a question, drop it in your perspective chat and we will get to you guys. First up, I'm going to go straight to him because I know he is a busy man this time of year. Art DeCesar from the Westgate Superbook here to give us a look behind the counter. Good morning, Art. How has the Westgate been? I am having serious FOMO. I mean, kind of. I love being at the Westgate during March Madness, but my liver is very happy I decided to stay home this year.
We obviously miss you. You know, the clubhouse is not the same without you here. You know, you walk by, you see the clubhouse, you're like, where's KIV? Oh, she's not in there. But no, it's been great. You know, this is obviously one of the best times of the year in Vegas, one of the best, weekends, first couple of days, especially Thursday and Friday. Thursday and Friday is amazing. The atmosphere is great. So, we live for this. This is one of our best, weekends and best couple of days.
Well, we know how busy you are, so we're going to just rattle off. There are 8 games today. And there are 8 games tomorrow. So let me hear what you've got so far for today's slate. If you want to run through all of them, so be it. If you've got some sharp action, we'd love to hear it. If you've got any early stuff for Sunday, since you're not going to be joining us tomorrow, we'd love that as well.
Really nothing for Sunday yet, so let's just kind of focus on today. We'll start from the top. The opening game, McNeese and Purdue. We'll need McNeese. We've seen good Purdue money come in, Purdue 6.5. So that's McNeese is going to be a pretty early need for us. Saw Arkansas money plus 7.5, plus 7. We got to 6.5. We ticked back up to 7. So we'll need St. John's right now because people are taking the Razorbacks. Interesting. Normally they take the money line on a spot like that too, but they have not. They've really only taken the points in that spot. Then you're going to move to, I believe Creighton Auburn is next. A lot of Creighton money. This is where they did sprinkle a little bit on the money line. They took Creighton at 10. They took Creighton at 9. We're now to 8.5. We had a big house player also take Creighton at 8.5. So we're going to need Auburn really badly in that game. UCLA, Tennessee. This is a game that's kind of seen pretty good split action. Probably a little bit more money on Tennessee at minus 4.5. Totals really dropped on this game. We opened 133. We're now sitting 130 on that total. So a pretty good move there to the under. Gonzaga and Houston, pretty split action. We've been 5 all day, and then we did take a sharp bet this morning at 5 on Gonzaga. Only moved half a point on it. Market didn't really blow up on it, so went to 4.5 on the game. Drake and Texas Tech, one of our best house players, significant 5-figure bet on the under 127. We're now sitting 125.5 on that game. We're the lowest on the market on that total because of the big house bet. It's not just the sharps that can move it. Obviously, this is such a public tournament. Public money can move certain numbers, and we felt we wanted to move down on that total. BYU and Wisconsin, really good split action, -1 on Wisconsin. Feel like the total will get bet by the public on this. High total, 155, 155.5. Feels like a public over. Michigan, Alabama, public money on Michigan +3. Over money from that same house player, over 140.5. We're now 142.5. And like I said, it's a significant 5-figure bet on a total like that. Because the totals don't normally see action like that, we feel sometimes we need to power move those a little bit.
Talk about that really quick, Art, and how that should be for our audience, right? Like, hey, guys, if you're already wanting to bet the opposite side, go on your favorite odds screen, I like Odds Logic, and see that the Westgate has an advantageous number. That's essentially what you're doing, is saying, come on in, we'd love some of that opposite money.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and listen, we're going to be a point, maybe a 1.5 higher on a couple of these totals. I know we are that way on the Texas Tech game, on that under, and I believe we are in the Michigan game as well. And it's one of those things where, we want to sell back a little bit, because eventually there will be some people are going to come clean the boards up and nibble back and buy back on those. And, you always want to remember too, not on totals, but on sides, we always are offering those 109s as well. So you always want to keep that in mind.
Yeah, minus 109, saving you 1 cent on every dollar you bet. So if you are a dime better, you can do the math. Art DeCaesar at Art Dice 21. Anything else you'd like to leave our audience with? Possibly a best bet for today?
I can leave you a best bet. And I also just touch on those two NIT games. They've been betting the NIT like overs like crazy. Like that Bradley game was 153. I believe we're 155 and a half now. So keep your eye on NIT totals. They've been bet over like crazy. Obviously, the NCAA tournament games get bet over, but that's public. The Sharps have been really keying in on early numbers in the NIT games and betting them up, 2, 3, maybe even 3.5 points. And if you're looking for a best bet, and St. Mary's killed me and Montana killed me, they've been kind of tough beats. But I'm going to roll with A&M today. I like A&M -3. Don't love what I've seen out of that Michigan team. They're a little sloppy, and I think Buzz Williams and his boys will take care of business. I'm laying 3 with A&M.
Yeah, that Montana beat, Art, was rough. At least I had some of the first half here on that show. Thank you, Art DeCaesar. You are the best. You can catch Art over at the Westgate Superbook. I don't know if the man gets a day off. He also joins us here on Last Call, as well as with the Prez on Wager Talk today. Again, if you guys are in Vegas, head over to the Westgate Superbook, sides minus 109. So if you are anything more than $100 better, you should be utilizing that reduced juice. Let's bring in VR. He knows a little something about line shopping and looking for the best prices. He didn't even shave. Did you even go to bed? Did you stay up all night long watching college basketball?
All night, Kel. Because UFC starts at 10 in the morning. And I send them notes over there for betting stuff. So it's been a long couple of days, but I love it. After tomorrow night, we get to chill after tomorrow afternoon.
Very, very good point. We are in the downward stretch here of the weekend. Round of 32 is going to be underway here in a little over an hour or so. So we want to get a look behind the computer screen. Art gave us a look behind the counter. What are you guys seeing in your back ends of some of these accounts? What are you being told to buy on? And if you've got anything early for Sunday as well, I'll gladly take it.
Absolutely. Here's some of the sharp stuff that I got from some guys that I share with, as well as stuff that we bet. 816 under 145 and 144 in McNeese and Purdue. 817 Arkansas +8. That got hit immediately as soon as that line went up yesterday. And that's pretty much split action. The first game I touched on, on McNeese and Purdue, under 45 and 44. Public's going over in that one. So it's a difference of opinion between the sharps and the betting public. That's why you may not see as big of a line move as you usually would. Drop down the Creighton +9.5, 819 Creighton. That's getting a ton of money from the public and the wise guys as well. So the books are on an island in that matchup for sure. 821 under 133 all the way to 132 UCLA Tennessee, but the public's going over. So that's two totals where the sharps and the public are opposite. Sharps went under in Purdue, sharps went under in Tennessee, but the public's betting those two games over. Unlike in round one, where they were betting a lot of dogs and a lot of unders, it's a little bit different as the tournament progresses. They tend to go back towards their biases, which are favorites and over. Speaking of another over, 827, over 153.5, 154 BYU and Wisconsin. We bet that. The public's on it heavy. It's another game where the books will be on an island, so that line probably will move significantly. And 830 Texas A&M. I know Art likes that play. We bet Texas A&M as well. Split action from the betting public on that one so far. And NIT action over 150 Chattanooga. That one's also getting bet over by the public. Now, a couple games that stick out immediately. Early action. I know that Art said they need McNeese State, that they got a lot of Purdue money. I'm seeing in the credit shops a little bit opposite that. I'm seeing more McNeese action. And, it's one of those darlings right now that I think the public's kind of fallen in love with a little bit. So I'm not surprised to see a lot of the credit shops getting hit on the dog there, at least with the books that I have access to. They're taking McNeese State. Another one that they're jumping on immediately is Creighton. I touched on that. I'm repeating it again because it's sticking out so much. I'm talking 7 out of 10 bets, and ticket count is even higher than that. So looks like there may be a little bit sharp action opposite that to negate some of that ticket count. Another one that pops out immediately is the Zags, Gonzaga against Houston. Public likes the Gonzaga side. At least that's what I'm seeing early on. And Drake's a sexy team that they're in love with. They got the money for them against Missouri. That was one of the most heaviest bet games. In fact, I was listening to another station on the radio talking about how Westgate, that was one of the biggest hits they took, was on Drake against Missouri. Because even though there was some sharp money early on Missouri, it was so overwhelming on the public money that was coming on in Drake. Wisconsin, BYU, pretty much two-way action. Like I said, Michigan and Texas A&M, pretty much two-way action. So pretty much that's what's going on so far early. Looking at tomorrow, the only thing that sticks out is Duke. No surprise. They won by 80 points, more or less. They've named the score. They got bet immediately. Public. I didn't see any of the sharp groups that I work with or share with that took the Duke side, but the public bet Duke right away. They bet Alabama against St. Mary's. This is public money I'm talking about. Alabama versus St. Mary's, because what they're doing is they did it with the Thursday games into Friday. They did it with Friday into today, where they're tying up parlays from today with tomorrow. So if they like a game today and they already have something isolated for tomorrow, they're locking it in by parlaying it and hoping to have more or less more action and a free bet tomorrow. So they're taking Duke, they're taking Alabama already, and the only dog that jumps out is Mississippi. They like Mississippi getting that 5.5 against Iowa State. So far, those are what sticks out the most. The rest is pretty balanced. Oregon, Arizona, pretty good two-way action so far. Maryland, Colorado State, a little heavier Maryland. That's not surprising. They're the favorite. They should get the money early. So pretty much that's what's going on. I agree with Art as far as that public side with being on Creighton, being on the over in the BYU, being on the over in that Michigan game as well. And again, Texas A&M, Michigan, that's pretty split where I'm looking at. But he said he's got Michigan action. So Texas A&M may be a side.
I think I like Texas A&M as well. I have not got to the window with them yet. Actually, VR, I found I had a 30% profit boost. I'm not really that type of person usually, but I have a couple of, we'll call them, never mind. You know what I'm alluding to, but I have the Hard Rock here in Florida, and the Hard Rock, I only pretty much use them for my parlays because they take them during college football. I bet some futures bets there if it's advantageous, but because I have a couple shops minus 108, minus 105, they're going to get more of my action. So I did just log in just to see, and I was like, I think I'm going to put a little parlay together today. So you guys get it here first. BYU, yes, it's minus 105. No, that's not as much fun as you guys want to hear. But I did also use McNeese State plus 210 and UCLA plus 180. And it was almost extra $500 of profit. So it pays almost 22 to 1 for today, just to give me a little bit more fun action.
Listen, I put in 2 parlays yesterday, Kel. I put one that would have paid like 18 dimes. I hit the first 5 sides on it. And then another one that I had a 6-teamer, hit the first 5 sides, those same 5 that were on the long shot one. And I hedged the late game. So I was like, there's no way 120. I just put 125, 125 on each, small little bets. But I'm like, there's no way with $6,000 on the table, I'm not going to lock in 2,000-3,000 on it for $125. Listen, I live in the real world. I get it. You don't want to give up equity when you got the books by the balls. That's when on paper, you know what I mean? Good in practice, good in theory, bad in practice type thing. But when you live in the real world where you have bills and money actually matters, dude, if you could pick up 3 dimes off a $100 bet, why would you risk that on an NCAA tournament game where you're seeing the craziest things happen? There's so much randomness in one game. I don't care how much equity I have, unless I'm so in love with that side. There's no way I'm not going to lock in a profit. No one ever went broke taking a profit. Nobody. I don't know a single person that went broke taking a profit. I've seen a lot of people that went broke taking a gamble. So I'll stick with the guys that made money.
Really quickly, I want to touch on that. We have Ralph coming up as well as Bill Krackenberger, but we've got 30 minutes. Art was really fast. VR was really fast this morning. So on that note, I want to talk about locking in a profit, and then we'll get to that NIT game. I argue a lot that the cash out button is a scam, right? And that's because they are not offering your true odds. Can you just kind of break that down just a little bit? When you say you locked in a profit, you didn't hit the cash out button.
Never.
I've never
touched that. I hit it by accident before, Kel. I hit it by accident before. I swear to you. And thank God my girl was there. So I was like, what? And she's like, wait, you didn't confirm it. And she jumped over and like clicked whatever, made a couple clicks. And I was like, I just wanted to see what it did. I swear to you. And I was like, I thought it was confirmed immediately, but I think you got to click it and then you got to confirm it and stuff. And I didn't confirm it yet, but it started like counting down. And I was like, dude, are you kidding me? It's the worst possible bet you can make. It's not like surrender in blackjack where you already know the odds. And if you're a card counter, it's one of the best tools you can have where you surrender half your bet, knowing that you're at such a disadvantage. When it comes to the cash out button, both positive and negative, where you could take a smaller loss because your team's behind at halftime and you have a $500 bet and they're willing to let you out for minus 200, minus 300. And it looks like I could save some money. They're never doing you a favor. It's like buying points. They're onto it. Back in the day, before, all the math was laid out and all the quants started working for the books and they started realizing what every half a point was worth, you could take advantage of those situations because you knew a half point should be worth 11 cents here, 12 cents there. I'm only having to pay 10 cents. I mean, when I came out here in Vegas, you could buy on and off the 3 for 10 cents in the NFL. Eventually that gets wiped out. Now, if you're even buying points every single time, I rarely ever see where you're getting something fair. And not even at break even, let alone getting positive EV because you should be laying, 12 and you only got to lay 10 cents. And the cash out button is even worse than that. Like it's a mathematical algorithm designed to make the books a greater hold. That's all it is. Like it's nothing that they're deciding themselves. It's an algorithm that was created to increase the hold of the sports book and hurt the player. You never want to do that. I get it. Sometimes you're like, oh, I'm going to lose this game anyway. Let me lose half. Or sometimes you're like, what if it could come back and beat me? So let me lock in some profit. That's not locking in some profit. That's taking the worst of it. And that's what they're offering you. It's completely different than a hedge. It's completely different than trying to middle. When you have 5 games in on a parlay or anything like that, and you got one team left, and it's not one you're totally in love with that you would straight bet for 10x. So I highly urge you, like I always tell my subscribers, never ever buy a half a point unless you know what it's worth. Like I put it in there with them. I'll type in where for the analysis, and I'll say buy the half point up to minus 122. Otherwise, lay the 110 at that number. Because this price, we should be like it should be more than 10 cents, but it shouldn't be more than 12 cents. Or it should be just lay up to minus 120. But I let them know exactly what the half point is worth. And if their book is charging them more, don't take it. Don't take it because you have a worse bet than I do already. So take the better number, which is actually looks like the worst number, but you're getting better VIG. People overlook the VIG so much, Kel. That's why they're laying minus 115s. I see it all day. See so many guys laying 112s, 113s, 115s, not realizing that all that does is increase the percentage that you have to win. Like I try to get minus 105 shops if I could get it. I'm begging to get reduced juice because I know now my win percentage doesn't have to be as high for me to be profitable. You got to remember, even at minus 110, they expect to make $4.50 off of you out of every 100 you bet. If you could cut that down to minus 105, they're only going to make $2 plus off of every 100. That cuts it in half of what your VIG is. That's so huge over multiple bets. If you're placing one bet and never betting again, it doesn't matter. Just like closing line value is not going to help you if you're only placing one bet. All that matters is picking the winner. But if you're going to bet today, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, that adds up so much. And if you're laying minus 112s, minus 113s, minus 115s, like I see bettors doing just to get action down, especially in 2025, where you could open accounts in so many places, spread out your money, shop a little bit. Again, those are tactics of the sports books to take advantage of bettors that just haven't learned they're making it harder on themselves. Stay away from the cash out button. Stay away from buying points. You're never getting the best of it. Rarely with the half point. Once in a while, you'll find a book that, it just hasn't adjusted it on 5 and it may mean 11 cents instead of 10. But on the cash out, I've never seen where you're even getting anything close to fair. I'd rather lose my entire bet than know that I just got out of it at a worse odds than you could imagine. Stay away from cash outs. Stay away from buying points. Uphill battles that you don't want to face.
He is the Greek gambler. I call him VR. It's short for Vegas runner. At least that's what we used to call him back in the day. A lot of people call him Ace. All right, Third Kingdom Psychedelica wants to know your thoughts on the NIT game that starts here pretty quickly, less than an hour. Dayton, Chattanooga. I know you mentioned that they were betting the over in this one.
Yeah, I like they're betting the over. The public's bet that one over as well. That's why the line's just so high. Even if it wins, it's just not a good bet. You know what I mean? Anytime you look and you see opener minus 148.5, you see 49.5, 50.5, 51.5, 52.5, 53.5. What were you doing? Like, what were you waiting for? If you like the over, what were you waiting for? So now you're taking it at the very worst price. It's so comparable to the stock market. If you like something, you don't want to be buying at the top. You don't want to be selling at the bottom. That's who loses the most amount of money. And in sports betting, it's the same exact thing. If you're always taking the worst number, the closing number, you're not going to beat them. It's a mathematical certainty. You're not going to beat them because you're not getting out ahead of the market. So even if they score 200 points in this game, it's a terrible bet. And I get it. Again, I'll repeat it. I'll sound like a broken record. But if you're only placing one bet, then and you love the over, bet the over. The closing line value, all that doesn't matter. It's just picking the winner if you think they're going to go over. But if you're betting, again, over and over and over again, that's a mathematical certainty to go broke. That type of bettor that's willing to take 3, 4, 5 points worse. So leave that one alone. I like the Chattanooga side. I think Dayton's a little bit overvalued. I actually thought this game should be a pick'em at worst. I was expecting to see Chattanooga go to -1. That's actually a bet that I'm looking to place right now. I'm just hoping to be able to get 3 on that. I missed the opener of 3, but I'm seeing some 2.5s. And I know it goes off in about 7 minutes. I maybe take the 2.5. I may take it just for a smaller bet, not something I'm going to release to subscribers. At 3, I would release to subscribers. At 2.5, I will not. But I do like Chattanooga. I'll probably put a small bet on Chattanooga, sprinkle the money line as well for a little bit. Since I'm not getting the 3, I could balance out a little bit of that, not missing that number by taking them on the money line as well. So I like Chattanooga. I don't like the total at all. If anything, I'd look for 155 and go under it. And hope that the market wasn't that far off when they opened it at 148, 48.5.
All right, VR, give yourself a little self-promotion. I know there's a big UFC card going on as well. Any steam rooms this weekend?
I had it yesterday. Because we're doing the first blackjack court class was last Tuesday. Those guys were awesome. I had a room of like 30 people. They are amazing. When they're done that course, they will be favored against the casino. They will be able to walk into any casino that's dealing a fair game. And I showed them what a fair game is, what the rules they should be looking for. And they will be the favorite. Doesn't mean they're going to win every time, but it means they are the favorite. Just like the house. They have players that come in and hit a roulette number, hit a slot machine. They don't win every bet, but they take enough of them. The casinos are guaranteed to make money. They become the mathematical certainty. And that's what's happening with the guys that are taking the blackjack course because they signed up for the year. Next class comes Tuesday, this coming week. And just came off a 5% winner. I only had 2 5%, Kel, the entire college basketball season. I gave a third one out on Missouri that lost. And yesterday I had another one on Mississippi that I almost didn't put it out. Because, in this business, you come off a 5% loser. You're not going to sell it. It doesn't matter. Nobody the next day is going to buy it. But I said I'd be doing a disservice to my subscribers if I don't release it the way I'm betting it. And I'm betting it like it's a 5%. So I'm going to take the risk of looking like the ass that loses 5% in back-to-back days because I'm betting it like it's a 5%. I'm doing the right thing. And I was rewarded for doing the right thing as Mississippi came out and did damage. And we had a great day. So package will be up within the next 30 minutes because I do love a college basketball game today. And of course, MMA is already up there with a couple plays, including the 4% that almost was a 5, but the line got out a little ahead of me. So I said, do the right thing. If you got the opener, it's a 5. Where it sits now, it's a 4. So release it as a 4, but I expect another good day. So excited. March Madness is here. Great time of year to jump on board. Up for the year. As I said, coming off only the second losing year, what did you think was going to happen? By the time December 31st rolls around, we will have done our job and produced profit for the subscribers.
All right, he is VR. WT.buzz/VR. I got my glasses on from Bet on It because we're going to bring in Ralph Michaels for some TNA. Round of 32 TNA, in fact. Ralph's been waiting in the wings to bring you guys all of the data that you could possibly want. Welcome in, Ralph. I'm excited. You sent me the chart last night, and I immediately sent it to my buddy who liked Auburn, and I said, oh boy, are you going to love this? And he goes, I can't read that. Anyway, so Clint Farrar, and I had to break it down for him. He's not good with graphs, charts, or any of the English written language.
Well, Kel, you and I did a TNA segment last week about round 1. And what was the number one thing we started with? We said the last 5 years, round 1 March Madness games